When the sun disappears below the horizon, another world comes alive. A world where vision is almost useless, where every current carries invisible messages, and where survival depends on the ability to taste the water itself. The channel catfish is built different. Among North America's most successful freshwater predators, it has turned an ordinary sense into something extraordinary. More than 8 million anglers pursue catfish across 47 states in rivers and tailwaters, reservoirs, and river channels, yet few realize they're hunting an animal with one of the most extraordinary sensory systems in the aquatic world. Over generations, fishermen have experimented with everything from chicken liver and fresh-cut shad to commercial stink baits, dip baits, and punch baits. Yet one of the most unusual and surprisingly effective catfish baits consists of nothing more than inexpensive hot dogs, cherry drink mix, and garlic powder. The recipe seems almost comical until science explains why it works. Chapter 1. A fish built to taste. Unlike predators that rely primarily on eyesight, catfish evolve for life in darkness. Murky rivers, stained reservoirs, and silt-filled backwaters often reduce visibility to only a few inches. In these conditions, evolution favored a completely different strategy: taste. A channel catfish measuring only 6 inches long possesses well over 250,000 taste buds. These sensory receptors are not confined to the mouth. Researchers have documented thousands of taste buds on every square centimeter of the fish's skin, covering its barbels, fins, belly, and tail. Larger species, including blue catfish and flathead catfish, possess even greater numbers, with total taste receptors reaching into the millions. Every inch of the animal functions as a chemical sensor. Its famous whisker-like barbels continuously sample dissolved molecules drifting through the current, but they represent only part of the sensory network. The entire body participates. Scientists have even described channel catfish as swimming tongues. Rather than searching visually, they navigate invisible chemical landscapes, following gradients of dissolved compounds until they arrive at their source. For a catfish, water is not empty space. It is information. Chapter 2. The chemistry of attraction. The remarkable sensitivity of catfish has inspired generations of anglers to develop baits that maximize chemical signals rather than visual appeal. Among the most successful homemade mixtures is an unlikely combination of processed meat, fruit-flavored drink mix, and garlic. Each ingredient serves a distinct chemical role. Inexpensive hot dogs, particularly those with higher fat content, provide an ideal base. Fat acts as a reservoir for aromatic compounds, slowly releasing them into the surrounding water. Before being seasoned, many anglers briefly warm the bait, reducing moisture while firming its proteins. The resulting texture withstands casting more effectively, while beads of rendered fat create an ideal surface for powdered attractants. Cherry drink mix contributes another dimension. Originally designed to dissolve rapidly in water, it contains flavor compounds, citric acid, and concentrated sugars that disperse almost immediately after submersion. Instead of remaining confined to the bait, these molecules spread outward, creating an expanding chemical plume. Garlic powder introduces sulfur-containing compounds, molecules responsible for garlic's powerful aroma. In aquatic environments, these compounds become yet another chemical cue drifting through the current. Individually, each ingredient produces only part of the signal. Combined, they generate overlapping scent trails that travel far beyond the bait itself. To an animal capable of tasting the surrounding water with nearly its entire body, that chemical signature is difficult to ignore. Chapter 3. Anglers adapting to biology. Across North America, experienced catfish anglers prepare this homemade bait in remarkably similar ways. Inexpensive hot dogs are typically cut into chunks roughly 1 inch in length before being lightly heated. The brief warming reduces excess moisture, firms the meat, and exposes rendered fat that readily absorbs surrounding seasonings. The pieces are then coated with several packets of cherry drink mix and generous amounts of garlic powder inside a sealed bag. If necessary, a small amount of water activates the coating, creating the bright red slurry that completely surrounds each piece. Many anglers allow the mixture to rest overnight, giving the seasonings time to penetrate the bait's fatty surface. Even shorter resting periods often produce usable results, but extended marination allows the chemical attractants to disperse more gradually once submerged. The finished bait bears little resemblance to an ordinary hot dog. It has become a concentrated package of fats, salts, sugars, acids, and sulfur compounds, precisely the kinds of chemical signals catfish evolved to detect. Chapter 4: Fishing the Bottom. Understanding catfish biology has also shaped the evolution of fishing techniques. Because channel catfish spend much of their time feeding along the bottom, anglers developed rigs designed to present bait directly within that feeding zone. The Carolina rig, also called a slip sinker rig, has become one of the most widely used presentations. A sliding egg sinker moves freely above a barrel swivel, while an 18-inch leader of 20 to 30-pound monofilament or fluorocarbon in exceptionally clear water positions the bait naturally behind the weight. Circle hooks, most commonly in sizes 3/0 and 4/0, are favored for firm bait chunks. Softer mixtures that begin breaking down into a paste are often paired with treble hooks, whose multiple points provide additional holding power. Another refinement emerged from the famous waters of South Carolina's Santee Cooper Lakes. By placing a small foam peg float several inches above the hook, anglers discovered they could suspend the bait just 2 or 3 inches above the bottom. Rather than disappearing into soft sediment, the offering remains directly in the path of cruising channel catfish. Even the act of hooking the bait reflects practical experience. Anglers thread the hook shallowly through one end before rotating it toward the center, locking the chunk securely enough to withstand repeated casts. Smooth, controlled casts are preferred over powerful overhead throws. Dense sinkers carry the bait efficiently while reducing the likelihood of soft baits separating from the hook. Long soak methods, including limb lines, trot lines, and spring-loaded yo-yo reels, extend the same principle even further. Left in place for hours, they allow scent trails to expand continuously through the surrounding water, giving passing catfish ample time to locate the source. Chapter 5: When the conditions align. Channel catfish are America's most frequently targeted catfish species, and their seasonal behavior explains why. As water temperatures rise between approximately 50 and 94 degrees Fahrenheit, with peak feeding activity often concentrated above the thermocline in stratified reservoirs, feeding increases dramatically. Across much of the United States, the most productive period extends from May through September. Nightfall marks the beginning of peak activity. From sundown until around midnight, channel catfish leave deeper resting areas and patrol shallow structure in search of food. The homemade bait is particularly well suited to these conditions. Resting quietly on the bottom, it continuously releases a mixture of fats, dissolved flavor compounds, sugars, acids, and sulfur molecules into the current. Those chemical trails spread outward until eventually intersecting the sensory world of a passing catfish. Not all catfish respond identically. While prepared baits frequently excel for channel catfish, anglers pursuing trophy blue catfish often rely on fresh skipjack herring, gizzard shad, or threadfin shad, natural forage species typically gathered with a cast net before a fishing session, reflecting the species' stronger preference for live and fresh-cut bait. Different catfish, different feeding strategies, different solutions. Chapter 6: The Language of Water. Perhaps the greatest lesson is not the recipe itself. It is what the recipe reveals about the fish. A catfish experiences the underwater world through chemistry. Its body continuously samples the current, reading dissolved molecules much as other animals interpret sounds or scents carried by the wind. Modern fishing techniques, from scent-rich homemade baits to bottom-oriented rigs, did not emerge by accident. They evolved through observation, gradually aligning with the biology of one of freshwater's most remarkable sensory specialists. The combination of hot dogs, cherry drink mix, and garlic powder is simply one example of that process. It succeeds not because it defies nature, but because it works with it. Understanding the fish has always been the greatest advantage an angler can possess. Because beneath the surface, every successful catch begins long before the bite. It begins with a language only the catfish can truly understand.